So, let's see what we got here. The NSF coverage is up, but I think there's X coverage too. Let's see, how does the X coverage work? This will be the first time we've actually covered a launch with X coverage whenever that pops up. But in the meantime, we'll turn on our buddies over at NASA Spaceflight here, which is what we had up.
Max, you and I were both there for that launch.
So we started the day with a rocket launch, and we're going to end the day with a rocket launch. We started with MS-24, we're going to end with Starlink.
Honest with you, that still seems like yesterday, because that was one of the most gorgeous and vibrant displays of that Falcon 9 has ever put on. They launched around 50 or so minutes after sunset, and because of the trajectory that Falcon 9 was taking.
Nah, Bruce, no such thing as rocket overloads, dude.
The sunlight and I believe.
How are X streams? I've heard it's lower quality than YouTube, according to Scott Manley's vid. Yeah, well, we'll see, Cryolox, when it pops up, dude. Yeah.
Ever seen from any launch here at the Cape before, and to this day, I think that is still in my top 5 favorite launches.
15 minutes.
My launch count now is at about 100.
So there are some storms in the area, generally meandering away, but there is some lightning offshore. I'm not totally sure it'll go, if any. It'll go. Any word from the Cape? No, nothing yet.
Like you said, that jellyfish was just stunning. It was really one of the first ones that portrayed the true power of the jellyfish right around sunset. I believe it took off shortly after sunset. It was absolutely beautiful. I remember just 2 things distinctly. One, running into, for those who know John Krause, Snap, as he was known for the mission as their photographer, running into him after
SpaceX says weather is trending favorably. All right.
Into Falcon 9. He just came back to the press site, gave him a fist bump. Because I remember way back in the day when he was a youngin', a teenager just starting off, and to see him do that made me so proud. And then, in addition, personally, that was also when I found out that I was going to be part of the first ever zero-gravity flight specifically for people with disabilities. And I found that was so appropriate with Haley Arsenault going up into space, who had survived cancer and had the internal prosthesis. But that really, in my mind, just proved space is for everyone. Everyone should get that chance to go to space, and medical conditions should not be a deciding factor against it. So that's just my thought. And again, a huge thank you to everyone in the NASA spaceflight community during our live stream of that just continued to put in generous amounts of support. So really appreciate that. All right, let's continue back to this mission here, as we are now about T-minus 13 minutes away from liftoff. Let's take a look at the next milestones that we can expect. The big one here is fueling continues now, with Stage 2 LOX load underway. As you can see, no more vent there. The next thing will be engine chill at about T-minus 7 minutes, where you start running propellant through the engines and get them ready to go as they're about to be blasted with super hot gas coming out the back of them in an attempt to, get to space. The strong back, which is holding the rocket, you can see that on the right, that will retract away ever so slightly at T-minus 4 minutes. Then at T-minus 1 minute or so is when the propellant tanks enter their flight pressurization. Falcon 9 enters startup, meaning the onboard computers take over. We should get the go for launch at T-minus 45 seconds, and that should be followed by engine ignition 3 seconds prior to lifting off. Now, I do want to point out, there is the transporter erector, like we talked about. There is that strong back retract on the right. There's a giant yellow something else kind of in the way there in addition to that. Max, what are we looking at dead ahead?
Yeah, so
that's right, Hibbett.
For those keen-eyed viewers, you might see that the...
Did you hear that Sawyer said hot gas is going to come out and it's going to take a dump? I'm sorry. You guys hear that? Because that's what I heard.
Crew access.
Go rewind it. Look.
Complex 40. And what we're seeing now.
That's what I heard, man.
Train is there to place all, we think is going to be all 4 tower segments, and it is there to stack them over at Space Launch Complex 40. Right now, currently, there's only one segment over there, but we have a sneaking suspicion that the other 3 segments will be moving out towards Slick 40 in the very near future.
It's exciting to see the work out there. Again, that just opens up a whole second gateway to space, basically, and that allows you to do crew launches from 39A and 40, as well as cargo launches, too. All cargo launches to the space station used to be able to choose between Slick 40 and 39A, with the majority actually going out of Pad 40. That was also when the vehicle was laid on its side, though, for it to be loaded up with any late loads, as they call it, last-minute things like live animals, fresh fruit, ice cream, things like that that could be perishable. Now, it's the same capsule, essentially, for crew and cargo, just without the people in the seats and things. So, you can use the crew access arm to easily load up those late-load payloads. So that is what we should be able to see now from Pad 40, so allow more flexibility. And a reminder that right now, Space Launch Complex 40 is the busiest launch pad in the world. So I think that's pretty impressive, and that will just allow for even more launches.
And
it's also worth remembering that the last Dragon to fly from Slick 40 was the very last Dragon 1 capsule for CRS 20 back in March of 2020, I believe it was. It was the very last Dragon 1 to fly, not just from 40, but in general, before they moved on to Crew Dragon and Dragon 2 Cargo.
Really?
March 11th, 2020. You were correct.
And that was my my first launch ever. I was down here with the NASA social people at the Kennedy Space Center. It was a wonderful time. But yeah, it'll be.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I mean, by the time this tower is active and ready to be used, it'll be about 4 years in between Dragons flying from Slick 40. And going off of what you said, Sawyer, and this being the busiest launch complex in the world at the moment, the fact that they're squeezing in all of this rapid construction in this really tightly packed launch cadence is super impressive.
It really is. I don't know about you, but there are just so many launches now, especially out of the Cape, especially out of 40. I know it can sometimes be hard to keep up, and I gotta tell you, I just
65 months resub. Stop playing Starfield so I can watch you again, you nerd.
For each of these individual launches. So you know what I need to do? That just means I need to go to shop.nasaspaceflight.com and get some more items. Maybe from
it's
our launch entry and landing
I'm sorry.
Apparel that we've got here. And the collection that
I
love, it shows
I gotta pee.
Exact entry
from
profile
stress
here in terms of which engines are used on launch, hopefully all 9, followed by entry and landing, and that's even in the correct order for a mission like this landing on a drone ship. So yeah, I have only one color of the shirt. I'm going to need to maybe get another second or third color so I can keep wearing fresh NSF merch for all of this. Or maybe to avoid getting bitten by mosquitoes when I'm outside, get one of the hoodies there. And of course, the mug that I can fill up with RP1 and liquid oxygen, although actually, please don't, because it's not rated to those cold temperatures. What is rated to be really awesome, though, are the metal prints that we have as well. You can get those hanging up on your wall, and I love that one. 2 birds at the port. We've got our Falcon 9 there, and you've got some of the amazing wildlife that still just hangs around Port Canaveral, which again, one of the busiest ports in the world as well, that just so happens to cover wildlife and cruise ships and, oh yeah, boosters. All of this available at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. And I do want to point out, Max, what shirt are you wearing tonight?
I am actually wearing the launch entry and landing shirt in navy blue long sleeves because I'm an absolute sucker for long sleeves.
There you go.
So it's funny you mentioned that shirt.
And I have navy blue and t-shirt, so there you go. As we actually hit a major milestone here at T-minus 7 minutes, at this point we are expecting engine chill to be underway. Again, that's kind of priming the 9 Merlin 1D engines ahead of the ignition itself. Here's an interesting question from D Space Guy, and I'm going to throw this one to you, Trevor. Do we have a count on how many landings per recovery ship while we're talking about launch entry landing?
Yes, very good question. So I'm gonna go by landing attempts.
You stressed me out
of
and it
course,
made me
Love You
pee.
has had 78 landing
Element,
attempts,
this is your fault.
and 7 of those were unsuccessful, so 71 on Of Course I Still Love You. Between both Just Read the Instructions, keep in mind, right, there was the original Marmac 300, and then later there's Marmac 303, which is one that they still use. There have been 64 landing attempts, 3 of which were unsuccessful. And then on a short follow Gravitas, there have been 45 landing attempts, 0 of which were unsuccessful. On LZ1, 29 landings, 1 unsuccessful landing. LZ2 has had 7 landings, 0 unsuccessful. And LZ4 has had 12, all of which were successful as well.
Who's talking right now? That's Trevor Sesnick? Yeah, Sesnick is his name. He's another subject matter expert for NSF. The kid's that kid's really smart. He's a really smart dude. Yeah. I've talked to him very briefly in the back channel before. He's a smart guy.
If we want to, you can leave your friends behind. Because if you don't, well, it kind of skips a little bit of the rhyme scheme there. But if they don't vent, then there ain't no friend of mine. I don't even know if Adrian would get that reference, just saying.
I got it. I actually like that song.
Yes, and I'm sure I just got us a copyright claim. And Chris Milberry asking, how many Falcon 9s is there that are flight ready and flight proven?
Okay.
I know we've got quite a bunch.
Flight proven, I believe, is 18.
Yeah, Zen.
9,
Of course
10,
it does.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 18. Then it looks like...
Was that lightning? There are some storms a little bit south of the launch site.
Really hard.
That's right. While you're doing that, I know Max is about to be flight proven again, so we will let you go and cover the launch here and get us the fantastic views, and good luck, sir.
That's the first time anyone's ever said I'm flight proven. So, but I'll take it. Thank you, gentlemen.
How many
I'll
launches
see
have
you
you
on the other
seen?
side.
That's
Oh
flight
boy.
proven.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. All right, gentlemen. I'll see you on the other side.
All right. Fair seas, sir.
All right, thank you for that distraction because I was able to count 17 flight proven boosters in the fleet that are active. Then there are 2 Falcon Heavy side core or center cores that have not flown yet, plus an additional 2 or 3 that are at McGregor for testing or being transported to the Cape. So
all right, so we're gonna pop over. I want to see if X is any good. I've never actually done this. I thought it was cool when they had a bunch of different camera angles here. So hey, look at that crane, dude! Some of the crew access tower is there. Whoa. That's a Lever 11,000 over there. That's the thing that's building the crew access tower. See it on the side right there? They're going to launch people from 40, well, cargo initially, and then people from pad 40. All right.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
Okay. Stage 1 LOX load is complete. We should be coming up on second stage LOX load here happening in the next couple of minutes. Yeah, this quality is yeah, I see what you guys are saying. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's not the best though. Yeah, the fairings look a little bit worn. And yeah, dude, I haven't caught a Starlink launch in a long time. When did they stop doing commentary? Jeez. See the crew access tower? Right there. Oh, that's so cool. That's why the crane is erected right there, because it's building that. The segments are already made. They're being made about a couple miles that way.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
Stage 2, liquid oxygen load is complete. We should see the strongback vent out the remaining propellants that are inside of the transporter erector fuel lines that go to the second stage. It's going to vent out the gaseous oxygen, and the RP-1 will drain back into the tanks. Not too long before they stop doing YouTube. Interesting.
Ground gas closeouts.
That's the ground gas closeout right there. Basically, there's a fuel and an oxidizer line that goes up the structure right here, the transporter erector. It goes into the second stage. When the fueling is completed, SpaceX tries to make sure the fuel is topped off and ready to go right before the launch. Because the liquid oxygen basically has a shelf life. It'll boil off, right? So what they do is they vent all the propellants in the lines there because you don't want to light the pad on fire when the rocket goes off.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Startup, we're inside of 60 seconds. Here we go. Ending the day with a nice Falcon 9 launch. Hopefully. Weather permitting.
LD, go for launch.
Launch director reports go. Mouse cursor is off the screen. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to boost the volume up a little bit.
30
That's a
seconds.
big crane. Libra 11,000, man. Twin jibs. Nice crane. 20 seconds.
215 seconds.
10.
Minus 10,
Sound suppression
9,
system is
8,
active.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Engine ignition.
2, 1. Ignition. Engine full power. And liftoff of Starlink 616.
Starlink 616 is in the air.
Vehicle picture time ready. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
Booster monitor reports good first stage performance. Into the clouds. T plus 30 seconds. Everything looks good. Stand by for the call for supersonic.
Nominal power and telemetry.
A little bit of high clouds there.
Vehicle supersonic.
Not on the vehicle, Chief. On the drone ship, yes. Stand by for the call for maximum dynamic pressure.
Max Q.
SpaceX switched to all their rocket launch streams to X, Northern, because Elon. The vehicle has gone through maximum dynamic pressure. Engines are throttling back up. Maximum dynamic pressure is peak aerodynamic load on the vehicle. Basically, there's only a point where the rocket is ascending.
Back chill has started.
And back chill, there's getting the second stage ready to go. There's a point during the ascent, basically, where the rocket can't push against the air fast enough, so it basically throttles down the engines to wait till it gets to a higher altitude to throttle the engines back up. Going to max Q is, they call it the throttle bucket, because on the telemetry, the throttle goes down, and then it goes back up, and on the telemetry, it looks like a bucket. Bucket! So they're out of the throttle bucket now. T plus 2 minutes into the flight. Everything looking good here. We should have main engine cutoff in the next 20 seconds. Stand by for main engine cutoff. You're looking at a shot up the business end of the second stage here.
Main engine cut off.
You'll see the pneumatic push rod push the vehicle away.
Stage separation confirmed.
Yeet! Good staging. Stand by for upper stage ignition.
MVAC ignition.
Upper stage ignition is on time. Everything looked clean there. Booster will now coast down to its landing out on the drone ship. Second stage ignition is looking good. I'm going to move over here so you can see the double telemetry. Fairing separation.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Oh, we had a little bit of signal weirdness going on there. Fairing separation. Fairing is off. The fairing is the aerodynamic structure up at the top of the vehicle. It separates when there's no air for it to move out of the way anymore. At that point, it's just dead mass. What kind of cameras did they put on the rocket? SpaceX has custom in-house optics, Taylor. They used to use GoPros. Yeah, 10 years ago. They just glued a bunch of GoPros to the sides. True story. But they decided to take the optics in-house. They have their own cameras. That was a long time ago. That was like 2014, something like that. Okay, first stage is coasting right now. In a second here on the left side of your screen, you'll see the first stage do its entry burn. The first stage entry burn is one of my favorite parts of Falcon 9. It's kind of the reason why I still watch these things, you know, when we get the chance to at all. The first stage entry burn is going to slow down the vehicle, but it's called an entry burn for a reason, because the first stage is going fast enough to experience some re-entry heating, right? And you'd think, oh, the fire in the rocket engine, you're going to slow it down. Well, slowing it down does help it not from, you know, melting from re-entry. But the best part about that is the rocket engines firing during the entry burn actually act as a heat shield. Falcon 9 flying through its own exhaust.
Signal Bermuda.
AOS through Bermuda. Falcon 9 actually flying through its
nominal trajectory.
nominal trajectory reports from the guidance officer. I don't know if it's called the guy. I don't know if he's called the guidance officer. But anyway, when the first stage fires its engines, right, the gas is coming out of the engines, Falcon 9 flies through it. And when it flies through it, it actually envelops the vehicle in a cooler column of gas. The rocket exhaust is cooler than the re-entry heating, and that actually gives you a good thermal barrier, and that's how the vehicle goes through re-entry. It punches a hole with rocket engines. The rocket engine exhaust is the heat shield. It's the best part. Guess what that's called, chat? That's called supersonic retropropulsion. It was an idea that was actually pioneered by NASA, trying to figure out better ways to re-enter on Mars. Yeah, funny story. Because up where Falcon 9 is doing its entry burn is very similar to what the atmosphere is like on the surface of Mars, interestingly enough. Should be coming up on the entry burn right now.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
Flight termination system on the first stage has safed. Okay.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
Entry burn has started. One engine switching to 3 now. 3 engine ignition. Looks good. Should get flame out here momentarily.
Stage 1 entry burn shut down. Stage 2 FTS is saved.
Okay. Now you're seeing some plasma. There's some plasma accumulating on the grid fin. See it right there? That's re-entry heating. Being live streamed to your computer. Or mobile device. That's actually really cool. That's still awesome to see. Look at that. Now the grid fins, those hypersonic control surfaces, they're designed to steer the vehicle when it's going that fast. The grid fins are made out of titanium. They're cast titanium. That they can withstand the re-entry heat at that velocity. But yep. Plasma shockwaves don't really do too well with telemetry transmitting. You get a little bit of a blackout on the first stage through re-entry. Oh, we had a signal there for a second.
Stage 1 transonic.
Nice, Spooky. Basketball joke. Nice. Okay. Stand by for... We should very rapidly here... See the second stage, hear the call for the second stage here. The second stage should, you should hear a nominal orbit insertion call or terminal guidance right before that. And then the entry burn and landing burn should happen. There's the there's the landing burn.
Stage 1 landing burn.
I said entry burn and landing burn. It should be landing burn, then landing leg deploys. Okay. Stand by for the legs.
Landing leg deploy.
Deployed. It's a little windy out there tonight. Looking good.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Okay. Engine purge out. Right now, what Falcon 9 is doing is it has helium tanks inside, and those helium tanks are shooting the helium into the engines to make sure that they don't melt. You saw them, they caught on fire. Sometimes there's residual propellants inside of the rocket engine, and when you shut it down, it burps.
Shutdown.
But it burps flames. So, good landing, burn. Good landing. Engine purge out has begun. Another stage landed. And there you go. They didn't even go to nominal orbit insertion, dude. They didn't even go to nominal orbit insertion. They didn't even call it. They cut the stream before that, dude. Wow. The last Starlink, they ended the stream before Seco. What the hell? This is weird, man. They didn't let Jesse go. They're just launching so much that doing a cast for every single one is, I guess that got boring. Wow. Falcon 9 is, well, Zeppelin, they're flying on a 4-day turnaround, dude. SpaceX has launched 65 times. 65 times. This year. That includes multiple Falcon Heavy launches. 65 launches this year. Guys, there are some, in the past, there are some versions of a rocket that never make it to 65 launches throughout their entire career. Some of those rockets span decades. That's a lifetime of rocket launches in 9 months. Guys, 2023 isn't even finished yet. You know, a long time ago, I remember watching an interview with Elon Musk, and he said that his goal with SpaceX is to make rocket launches boring. Here we are, man. Unfreaking believable. I mean, I personally don't think it's boring. It's never not gonna be cool to me. It's gonna be amazing. Check next space flight for the rest of the year. Yeah, you know what, Phil? I actually had it up. I mean, look at it. Look at all the Falcon 9 pictures. Unbelievable. Yeah, he said his goal was to make rocket launches boring. Well, shoot. I guess you succeeded, pal. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for me. We just hit 12 hours of uptime on the stream. Started the day with a rocket launch. And then an ISS docking after that. Did that Vanguard quest in Starfield. Now we're doing some other missions for Walter, but we'll pick up Starfield on Monday. I hope you guys have been enjoying Starfield. I do appreciate all the gifted subs today. There was a good amount, and thank you guys. It really means a lot to me. I'm really happy that people are enjoying Starfield because, you know, it's a really damn good feeling when the game that you're playing, people enjoy watching you play it. I hope you guys have been enjoying my character. He's a pretty good character, right? Yeah, he doesn't give a frick about nothing. I just want more spaceships. I want more spaceships and more money for more spaceships, all right? So, I hope you guys have been enjoying it. We'll pick it up on Monday. Yeah, no streams over the weekend. I got a hurricane to deal with, so that's going to be fun. Hopefully it's not too bad. Starfield is awesome. Your character's even better. Thanks, Taylor. So, thanks, guys. You'll be fine. Yeah, I know. It's not going to be a big deal. All right. I'm going to go spend some time with Bremo. Spend some time with my wife. So, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend. thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope you guys did appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you appreciate it, you frick. Sorry, that guy, the Space Boston, is messing with my head. Have a good night, everybody, and thank you. I'll see you. I hope you have a good weekend. It's going to be better than mine. Wind. I'll see you guys later.